Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to InnerViews, the podcast where we dive deep into the realms of therapy, healing, and intentional living. I'm your guide on this adventure, Ivory. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey with me? Whether you're navigating the complexities of trauma, embracing intentional parenting, or seeking self-help strategies, this podcast is your sanctuary. InnerViews is not just a podcast, it's a community. A safe space where stories unfold and healing takes center stage. Your story matters. And here, courageous storytelling is the heartbeat of our existence. We'll be exploring powerful themes like healing, navigating the intricacies of foster care, the strength found in survival, the beauty of reclamation, and the pure bliss of joy. So if you're ready to join hands with a community that understands, subscribe now. Let's walk this path together because the journey toward understanding and well-being starts right here, right now. Welcome to InnerViews, where every step is a celebration of your resilience and a testament to the incredible strength within you. Let's make this journey unforgettable. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you everyone for tuning back into InnerViews. We appreciate every single listen, every single source of support. My name is Ivory Bennett, and I'm here with Nathali Feliz. Nathali, how are you today?
Hi, I'm fine. Nice to see you again. My name is Nathali Feliz.
It's nice to see you again, too. You have such a powerful story and such a beautiful way of sharing it. Can you tell the audience, who are you? Who is Nathali?
Well, Natalie is a mother of six. I was part of foster care. I came in when I was 16 years old and aged out at 21. But ever since then, I had been fighting over my kids ending up in the same system that I came from.
Thank you for sharing. And if you don't mind, how old are you right now? Like, how much time is between when you aged out and
Yes, right now.
You're 26. Okay.
Yeah.
You're still very, very young.
I still have a whole life ahead. I thank God that I did have my children at an age that now I could grow up with them. Eligible to have any more children, but I think it was like my health wise.
Mm.
But if it wouldn't have been for me, I think I would have had like a whole entire school. There's so much a character. They change so much, and you learn so much within yourself, but as well within them.
Thank you so much for sharing. I don't have children yet, and I do want to have children one day eventually. So I'm always interested in hearing what other people have to share about their motherhood journeys. Was anything about motherhood like triggering or hard because of your experiences in foster care? Like, did that come up, or did you feel like it affected how you experienced it?
Yeah, it actually did a lot. I just yesterday I interviewed my child. I like to try to make them comfortable and also know that my role as a mother, try to see what was my downfall and what was my upfall. That's the best way of bettering yourself, and accepting that you wasn't perfect and you're not going to be as perfect as I believe that kids expect you to be, because they totally forget that you're a human being at time and you're like, hey, I'm a human being too. But I interviewed my child, and it was the timing of my life that I was like very like drinking to overcome the trauma. I got raped from age 9 all the way into age 11, and then I hid in the secret of the family. Basically, I didn't want to get my family involved with ACS. I was scared of ACS.
Right.
And I think a lot of Hispanic are scared of ACS. Like that's one of the major thing. Like, hey, you're not supposed to say certain things because they gonna come and grab you and take you away.
Yeah.
So that was like one of my fear that I had to face at a certain age. Like, hey, am I sure that I want to continue being part of what I see that is not normal? Or I want to get out of my comfortability and give myself up to ACS and just move on with my life. And that was a strong decision. But I think that it drove me to drink because then I became an adult. I was getting investigated a number of times. I had a partner that used to call ACS with me because I didn't want to continue the relationship with him.
Mhm.
And that just kind of like drove me more to drinking because
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't like I wasn't doing my part as a mother, but it was someone that wanted to harm me. And I even was showing ACS like a number of texts of the person I'm meeting. But ACS is like, oh, we got a call already and we have to do our investigation.
Right.
And that kind of came in between of me trying to, I knew that the problem wasn't going away, but I just kind of wanted it to feel free for a little bit of hours. That it came in between my parenting. And I have to admit that, like, my child had told me, like, hey, mom, I do remember when you drank. And that kind of broke me because I'm like, like I'm doing so much better now. But then I had to as well be honest. And that's one of my role as parent. Like, I'm not perfect and I don't expect my kids to be perfect. So I have to be honest with them. And the only way for them not to push themselves to be perfect is me being honest. Like, hey, I wasn't perfect at one time. I wasn't doing my part as a mom. And that's the difficult that sometimes some conversation the kids have question for you as a parent, as an adult, but then now you have to like answer certain question with knowing their age. So when my child told me that, I just told him like maybe later on in life you will understand. But one thing that I could tell you is that I had so much pressure, and that's why it drove me to drink. And we left it there, but my trauma had affected my parenting because I was wanting my kids like to be overprotected. Like I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna put camera everywhere in the house. I'm gonna have them protected. But then I didn't realize
Right.
that that wasn't doing me good. That was doing me more harm because now they gotta go to school and I'm not present. And they gotta experience some up and down and I'm not there to advocate. So then I had to back off a little bit and told them like, no, mom can't jump always to advocate for you. You're gonna have to advocate for yourself. And I think that my kids were expecting me like, hey, such and such did this to me. Go ahead and jump to advocate for me. And just because I was like that overprotected mom, that I had to like calm down and realize that I do have whatever I have control, I can have control. And what I don't, I have to just let the Lord do a job.
Mm. Thank you for your vulnerability. And thank you for I'm hearing accountability in your parenting. And I think that as a society here in America, we need more accountability in parents and we need more willingness to be vulnerable and like where we need help and where we need to grow. So that does not fall on deaf ears here to me. All right. So can you tell our audience, because not everyone will know what ACS is, can you tell our audience what ACS is or ACH?
Peace.
I messed it up.
Well, ACS is children administration, where the
Okay.
kid, if there is a neglection and they have suspicion of neglection, and they reporter should call ACS, children administration,
Mhm.
and then from there they'll come to the home and investigate the allegations that was done on the neglection of a child.
And that's in the state of New York, right? That's across all of the different counties.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so, so much.
In other state, they call it CPS.
They have so many different terms. There's CPS, which is like Child Protection Services. There's CYS, Children, Youth, and Services. There's CYF, Children, Youth, and Families. It depends on the state. It depends on the county. It depends on the organization. There's so many different things going on. But
When they used to talk about ACS, like for me, it was like, oh, the for children, the cops for children.
not the children cops. That's awful. my gosh, that is we need to we need to rebrand that the children cops. That is so terrible. Um, okay, so I wanted to ask you, you mentioned like speaking up about your experiences as a child and how it took a lot for you to even get there. What do you think in an ideal world the child welfare system could have done to help you and to kind of help you deal with that trauma and to support you through that experience so that you could have, the best possible outcomes? Or do you feel that they provided it with you, that you got everything that you needed and wanted?
Honestly speaking, it's a sad and rough story to but I'm gonna first start with when I did end up giving myself to ACS children. I honestly thought that I knew my whole entire life that yes, I was going to end up going through difficulty with them as well. I did. I was clear of that. But I thought that the suffering and the trauma was going to stop, right? And I never knew how number of time I had to relive my trauma by so many others like lawyers and social worker and that just kind of like throw me off because now I'm like, okay, I could deal with this. I could manage to deal with repeating my trauma to kind of get to the bottom of the story of your perspective because they had a different perspective of me being a trouble kid and running away. So I'm like, I'm gonna take the power back because now I'm saying my side of the story. Eventually, I did get judged by being too open with ACS. And I think that one of my issue was with ACS is how can you expect, and this happened almost all the time, when a child have been advocating for their self and have been either in the street, like in my case, I was a drug dealer and I was homeless for a period of time. And now I end up in care, and now I had to obey all this rule, time to get to the house and everything. And I was just confused. I'm like, how
That's
am
so
I
hard.
supposed to make this?
Right. And they didn't teach you, right? They didn't tell you how to do that. They just
No.
didn't do it.
And the thing is that it was more challenging because now I'm expressing myself with anger. And not anger because of the rules, but anger because I'm like, I did not leave out of my house at 14 to end up also needing to obey your rules. Like for all that, I could have just stayed in my home and obey everything that my mom told me, and that's it. But now you want me to relive something that I left behind to provide for myself, to become the adult that I needed to become, and also be independent. And I think that's where your credit is getting taken away. And I had to realize that, like, okay, a number of time I did it, like I was like going out in my head. I was jumping in table, like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, no, you can't tell me how to run my life. You can't tell me how to do this. Or no, I'm not gonna obey your rules. But unfortunately, those are the action that I had was used against me now. Now I look unstable. Now I look like a kid that really was a trouble kid because now I'm expressing with anger what they are expecting me to do. And I don't have a reset button
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to become a child.
So many things. I don't know if you know, I think I shared with you, I used to be a teacher and I taught in the hood. And I had a lot of students who were independent like you. They had to be, and they were the breadwinners of the house. They brought the food home, they paid the bills. And so to be able to expect a 14-year-old who was handling that responsibilities to just all of a sudden be a kid again and then follow these rules, it's not the same. It's just not the same. And I don't know. I think that's one of the biggest gaps in child welfare. It's like when you reach out for help, I experienced that too, reaching out for help and feeling like there was a backlash almost of like, oh, what did I do to myself? Because I thought that I was going to be in a better situation. And I ended up in a different kind of bad. You
Yeah.
know, it's
It's totally messed up because I had looked at it like you expect me to be a child again, right?
yeah.
But there is a cost on it. And I was an adult already. First I was a kid. Now I'm an adult. Now I'm a kid again.
Mhm.
But then eventually when I turned 21, I had to be an adult again. And I think that that is where a lot of my action of drinking and turning out to be a kid, because I feel that it was so when I was an adult already after becoming an adult independent and everything, that's what that means. I was still a child
Mhm.
due to my age, but mentally, emotionally, and how I was representing myself, I was grown because I was providing for myself, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But then when they told me to become a child again,
And
they make
no direction.
some of the decision that I made was very poor decision, right? But I also have made them because before that time, I don't think that I would have just like shown my wrongs to ACS and get judged because now I was thinking like an adult. I shouldn't do certain things that
Mhm.
would affect me or my child. And that kind of just got me so confused. My whole entire life was like a whole roller coaster. Like, hey, be a child here, be an adult here. So then I had to realize, like, you are expecting me to be an adult for certain things. You are expecting me to be an adult, such as if you are a parent, that you are guardian of your child, right? So you have to sign important forms. Your
Mhm.
signature had to be in this document for your child to be available to get seen by a doctor or getting services in place, right? So that's where I had to realize, like, no, don't leave who you have become to be a mother that advocate for yourself, just leave it to the side, but then pick it up back up when it's time to just sign a document. Like that's what did never fit in my shoes. And I had to tell them, like, no, you're going to have to respect the fact that some way how you can go back and turn me out to be a kid again. But you could help me. You could manage to show me how I could get hope from you and how I could trust you, how you could win my trust back and I could just benefit of all my benefit that are in care, right? And I did have a number of workers that they did ended up respecting that, and eventually our relationship just got better because now they wash their hands where they like. I don't want to talk about Natalie being a child. I want to talk about how can I help her get where she needs to in life. And then I have workers that they treated me like a whole kid. And those workers weren't going anywhere with me because I'm just like, okay, now I'm going to shut you up and I'm just going to ignore you because this is not going to function. The trust is not there.
I so yes, just so so much. Yes, Natalie, and I think for our audience, what you're referring to is like a trauma informed approach. People And there are people in everyday life. I feel like they're mostly caseworkers or they're mostly the people who like we would have the most contact with as people who experience the child welfare system. A lot of those individuals do understand the concept of like these youth have experienced extreme life circumstances. These youth are in survival mode. These youth are mature beyond their ages because they had to be to survive. And I think that they operate through the context. There are those who, like you said, who do not, but they usually don't last long, or they're usually not well liked, or they're usually just not
And the
effective.
case don't go anywhere. Like that's the whole issue. Like you have
Yeah,
a job, but are you really doing your job? Because
right.
the kid is not even allowing you to talk to or do your visit.
Yeah, and they're not getting the full story. And I just think that like the least effective kind of ground workers, if you will. But I think the bigger problem is the people who we don't come in contact with every day. So the judges, the lawyers, the people who are running these agencies, the people who are creating these policies and procedures at not just the local level, but the statewide and then the federal level too. They're the ones who seemingly are incredibly out of touch with what people who are experiencing the child welfare system need. And then let's not even talk about how they need trauma informed training. So a lot of
Yeah.
them have no idea how to approach youth um, through a compassionate, humanistic lens.
I think we need to bring more back, I believe, the human in people. Like, hey, you're talking to another human. Like you probably have come across family member that I think in every family you have one that is like out of what is being a kid. And you're like, oh Lord, this is a mess. But then eventually that's the family member that you love the most because you care for, but also that you learn from that family member,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that is more about like some organization expect some people to just take the human out of them and just be like, no, you just gotta go through our policy. No, don't be a human. Don't feel bad. You can't expect me to not be a human when I am talking to a human. I'm not talking to a robot. I'm actually talking to a human that have an emotional that is expecting me to do my part and that maybe would trust me to get somewhere in life,
Right.
right? And I feel like that's where it's the major issue because I did have workers that when they were being human, that's how I call it, being human, a person that has emotion and would express them, right? And if you had a bad day, I told my worker, I have bad days. So if you have a bad day, just be honest that you had a long day.
Not you teaching your workers life skills and emotional coping skills. Just be honest. I mean, but it's such a hard concept, Natalie. And I feel like that's one of the superpowers that you get from being in child welfare. It's like this just honesty. I think a lot of people who have not experienced the child welfare system, they're like very protective of things that like don't make sense to me. And probably a lot of people who experience child welfare, for example, I don't protect mess. And I feel like a lot of my friends who grew up with parents, like a mom and or a dad, they'll be more protective of things that are like just chaotic and dysfunctional and messy. And I'm like, mm-mm. What we're not going to do is protect that. That's a mess. Let's call it out. Let's put it on the table so we can fix
Yes,
it, so we can change it. And it's okay because at one point or another, everything and everyone is a mess. And that's just a part of being a human
yes.
being.
All right. I got with my partner, right? And my partner
Mhm.
have family. His mom is actually involved in everything. And some like when he used to smoke, for me, it was like, you gotta hide this and you gotta hide the other. And I'm like, what are you hiding? Like you went that door already. Why are you hiding this? It was just like hilarious to me because I'm just like, do you live with your mom or you live with me? Like we gotta come to a conclusion. What are you doing? Because you live with me, okay? And you don't live with your mom. So be 100 with her and tell her what it is.
Mhm.
And I think that that's where the communication fall apart. When you don't have that trust, where you could do something outside the home and then come back and act like nothing ever happened. And then that's where the danger starts.
Yes.
Because now you might be in a bad situation where you need help and you're not speaking
Mhm.
because of, I told my kid all the time, if you do something, I'd rather you be honest with me and then, we could get somewhere with you being honest. But if you lie, I don't know how to help you. And that's one of my rules.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I had the honor of feeling that way with my mom, my biological mom, but not most of the time in foster homes, whether it was a foster home or a kinship care home. But again, I think that really positions us to have the superpower of like, we're not going to lie about this. Let's just put it on the table. Let's talk about it because I feel like secrets are just cancerous and like secrets are harmful and then nothing good comes from secrets. Nothing good comes from denial or refusal to discuss things. And that is kind of why we have these issues that lead to child welfare. That's why we have cyclical family abuse and neglect. That's why we have, just all these things that are ultimately harmful to kids, ultimately harmful to youth, and ultimately harmful to families. So,
And a secret you gotta know. Are you hiding it because it's gonna benefit you?
mm,
Or are you hiding it because it's gonna benefit the other person? Because eventually it could bite you in the ass and the other person could benefit for the rest of their life.
mm,
So I in my case, I was hiding a secret that it took me until I was 16 to speak up. It also gave a different a narrative of who I was as a person, right?
mm, mm,
And that's all because I'm like running away, doing all this crazy stuff that I gave more power to
mm,
the people that did harm to me, right? And I had to realize, like, after my mother had threatened me with taking my daughter away, that's when I had to realize, like, hey, what are you doing?
mm, mhm,
Like, are you keeping this secret and it's eating you apart because
mm,
it does. It eats you apart. It come actually to life and eat you. That's what I call it. Because
mm,
now you're representing what is the outcome of that. But you also getting judged for
mm,
the outcome of that secret. And I had to realize that speaking up, it wasn't only going to benefit me, but it also would have benefit my child from ending up in the wrong hands and not in my hands. I'm not saying that I was a great mom and a perfect mom. I failed at time, but I did feel at that moment like she was my savior, the only thing that I had to hold me together, right? Because if I didn't have her, then I would have been a whole mess, a whole tore apart, right? Because now I don't have a responsibility to look forward to. And when I realized that if my daughter wouldn't have been with me, I would have been a mess. I ended up speaking up about this secret. But the crazy part is that now everybody was defending their own self and pushing for their self. So I'm like, oh, wait, hold up. Now you're going against me. And this whole entire time, I'm thinking that I was saving you. But now that I speak up, now I can see the truth that eventually you pick for yourself. So it didn't benefit me at all to hide a secret. If I would have spoken up a long time ago, probably when I was 9, I would have ended up going to Dominican Republic to hide the secret a number of times, missing school year. And then other time, even how I got pregnant with my daughter. I got pregnant with my daughter by going on one of those trips, and I knew that to come back to United States, I would have had to come out with the solution on getting pregnant. I'm like, if I finally get pregnant, I could go back to United States because her proudness is so high, her
mm,
ego. So I know that she's gonna bring me back. Let me just go ahead and do this. But I didn't realize that that also wasn't helping me. You
mm.
understand that was more harming me because not harming me because I regret my child. I love my child,
Absolutely.
but more because now I have a kid, right? And then that kid was born with too many disorder and had to stay in the hospital for 5 years. But now I have the person that at one point had harmed me be someone in the picture. So then I'm like, now I have to do double the work
Mhm.
and defend my child and feel like it's right. But when I came into foster care, I thought that I was saving my child from my stepfather and my mom and all of that. And then eventually I had to save my child from the same system that
Oh, it's like you're damned if you do and
it's
damned if
like
you
you're running
don't.
away. It's like a horrible movie. You're running away.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then I don't know if you realize they come with the mask and they after you. And then
Yeah.
you're like, what? After that was safe in this room.
Yep. I feel like so many of us could have said that at so many different points in our placements, in our foster homes, in our kinship care homes, in our shelters, in juvenile justice systems. Like we thought we were safe. I was watching something yesterday where a young girl was talking about how she tried to get herself to go to jail because she was experiencing some abuse and neglect too, like really violent sexual things. And she was like, well, I knew that if I went to jail, I would be safe and that I would have food to eat and that no one would be bothering me in the middle of the night. And so many people who have lived child welfare experience feel or want that fantasy of
Mhm,
being safe. They want the child welfare system to save them.
mhm.
And a lot of the times, too many times, in fact, maybe even most of the time, the child welfare system causes more harm than good.
Yes.
And it is just it's
Um,
really sad.
and it's so unfortunately that we have the right to point the finger at our parent and our own self too, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what is being told. Your parents were they traumatized you. Hey, go after them and feel so angry towards them and be depressed. And
Right,
and
right.
you as well, your poor decision, right? But then now that I'm 26 and I started being part of different organization and everything, and even writing, I never had hear the story of I'm holding accountable of ACS. I'm holding
Mhm.
accountable of all this agency. I'm holding accountable of my foster mother, of the group home. I'm holding accountable everybody else. I hold accountable because that's the only way that ACS took you away because you did hold accountable of your parent, right?
Right.
They had consequence. But I had to say to myself, I have to hold you accountable. I'm sorry. Yeah, you want me to point the finger at my mom. I already did that. You want me to point the finger at my rapist. You investigated me a number of times
Mhm.
to the point that I looked unstable, that I was drinking, that I did not even know how to advocate more for myself or my children because of the number of time that I was getting investigated and the number of time that you made me believe that I was an irresponsible parent, right? And then I open up different organization articles and different stories, and you only see the sad part. You never
Trauma
see
porn.
a heal story, right? And I'm just like, yeah, of course they're not going to heal. If you ask most of us, I say most of us because I do still identify myself as one of those child that is still in care because I'd rather put my own self in care still than my children in care, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when I say I'm still in there, it's because I'm still fighting
Mm.
for my kids.
Mhm.
So when when you look back at it and you say, where's the heal story? Where's the happiness? Where's the joy at?
Mhm.
Is something wrong? Is broken then? If you're telling me that, especially like me, I got hope. I got therapy. Yes, I got therapy and everything, but therapy isn't always going to be the answer for people, right? Because
Mhm.
you have to identify first on forgiveness, right? You have to forgive and accept what happened. You have to accept, first of all, you have to accept that you're damaged. And there's nothing wrong with accepting that you're damaged. It's something wrong if you continue being that. That
Mhm.
is where is the answer.
Right, right.
And then from where you accept what happened to you and all of that, and how did you hold accountable those people? Your parent, whatever, guardian, or whatever it was that was in charge of you. When you accept that you hold them accountable by you ending up in foster care. Now you have to accept your poor decision, right? You have to recognize that not always you made right decision, right? And it shouldn't be an excuse. the foster care system, your parent. It shouldn't be an excuse. It should be you holding yourself accountable, right? And
Mm.
after you do that, then you could go to the next person that you have to hold accountable, right? The only reason why you have to hold yourself accountable is because that's how you're going to identify who did what. If you did a mistake, if the agency did a mistake, that's how I identify what was going on. Okay, my parent did this. Okay, this was a poor decision that I made. Oh, now I understand. Now I could point the finger at you, point the finger at you, and then point the finger at myself, and then balance them up, and then
Mm.
realize who did more harm, right? If it was my own self that did more harm to me, and I want to change it, or if it was my parent that did more harm, or actually the system did more
Mm. I know a lot of people who the system would be at the top of that list. And that's why I do what I do at Youth Voices Rising, because I'm trying to get people to tell their stories. We need more authentic stories of joy and of I don't believe that we'll ever be healed, as in like it's something completely accomplished, but we need more stories of people who are healing and who have joy and who have like real success to share. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like the foster kid success stories I see really are just oriented mostly around like money. It's like the
harm.
people who have a
Yeah,
lot of money, who have earned a lot of money, who have been given a lot of money.
I had gotten a lot of benefit, right? Because I learned how to get my benefit, what I deserve from being the care system. But after I found heal, I got back my childhood. It took me a while, but I got back my childhood. And I think that that's the biggest gift when you are a parent. And
Mm,
even when you are a child from foster care,
mm.
realizing that you could get your childhood back. And I act like a kid. Sometimes I take a day off and I tell my children, don't jump in the couch. And then my children continue jumping in the couch.
No, I think that one of the biggest reparations we could ever get for being in child welfare is the reclamation of our childhoods and giving ourselves permission to like our inner child to have them
Mhm.
play. And when I do my advocacy work, I always make it a point to tell people who are doing this work in child welfare, anything you can do to advocate for and protect the right of children and youth to play is going to help them.
And then it's crazy because some of my memories of what I was passionate about when I was a kid,
Mhm.
I started all over again having those passion back to
Yeah.
return back to me. Like my son loved to draw. So I'm like, oh my God, I love to draw myself. I always used to draw. I forgot for a second. I was so serious in life.
I get it.
or,
Oh my
or
God.
like my daughter, when like sometimes she play baby, and I have to like remind her, like, hey, you don't have to be playing like that that's your kid. You could play that that's your friend.
Yeah.
And then I remember myself as a kid all over again. Like I wish that my mom wouldn't have be so angry and so strict and so I got control over the life that she could just like sit down and play. Like after my daughter saw that, I'm like, hey, look at my friend, instead of here's my baby and
Yeah.
showing her how to be a mom at a young age. I started like, look at my friend. Hey friend, you say hello to my friend. And then she just started like, mommy, that's your friend. And after a while, her seeing that, she eventually stopped saying baby.
Yeah.
That's my baby. And I think that a lot, even a woman that
Yeah.
is being expected from us, let a child be a child,
Mhm.
and it will come at an age where they get to learn all of this, but let them enjoy what is childhood. And
Right.
after I did that, I realized that I also, within seeing my kids, I could also heal those in the child. Find your in the child. Find what that child is missing. What were your passionate? What was your downfall? at one point when that you felt like, oh, I wasn't supported with this, and support it. Support
Mhm.
it. Be like, oh, I didn't get this when I was a kid. Let me go and get it. Eventually, if you get something that is like a doll, eventually you still got it. You still got that dream doll that maybe one day you could say to your kid, hey, you see, this doll is very special to me because
Mhm.
I got it for myself. I didn't have a parent to give it to me, but I got it for myself and now I'm passing it on to you. And
Mhm.
I think that that's where it comes to healing from. And I think that the system in general just want kids to relive their trauma, but are you trying for the kids to be more angry or are you trying for them to find joy within their trauma? But then it's no good outcome of it. And I have sat down in different room where they like, hey, tell me what happened. But then eventually when you told them what happened, you just said something that was personal to you, right? And what was your benefit like out of it? Because it wasn't like therapy, because then now you feel used. Now you feel like you reliving that trauma, especially after the meeting is done and you get brushed to go, oh, go, go, go. It's
No
okay. Go,
aftercare.
go
No
in your little
aftercare.
corner. and
Just,
then
your deepest,
and then
darkest
it's still
trauma.
there. Like you still question yourself. You still relive that, and I think that that's where is the issue. If it's not going to be a good, you could say your story however you want to say it, because it's either going to benefit you or it's either going to make you grow and make you realize certain things that you didn't realize. But at the same time, you want to benefit more from it.
Mhm.
You don't want to like share it and then be questioning more. And that's what happened to me. Like sometimes I had to question myself more after saying my story. I had to be like, oh my God, like, now I'm not good enough. Now it was my family in their right head. Was I wanted to be in this earth or am I alone? Who brought me into this earth? And those are questions that pop up to anyone that is saying a story. And I feel like we aren't going to listen for a good while. What is the good outcome of your
Mhm.
story? Because we are saying it in a painful way. We are
Mhm.
saying it that it brings us down instead of first, before saying the story, first feed that in the child, what that in the child is missing.
Mhm.
Find yourself all over again because you lost yourself. Either you lost your childhood, but you got to understand that you lose yourself within your teenager life and your young adult life. And that's what I had to realize. Like, it wasn't only my childhood. I actually missed my childhood, my teenager life age, but also my young adult life
Mhm.
because of the trauma. And that's the reality of what we deal with and how much people are benefiting out of the sad story. And we have to put a stop on it. It's so much benefit out of a sad story, and we're not putting out the good story. We know that we got something good within us, and no matter if you're going to add a sad story, eventually one moment in your life you was eating an ice cream and fell in your shirt and your friend was like, quack, 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 quack. Something funny must have happened in your life, and we have to understand how to put that division side to side. Like, yeah, I could tell you this story, but I could also as well tell you this story.
Mhm.
One or the other, because the sad story is just giving more benefit to some organization instead of our
Yeah.
own self and bringing it back to our self and our family, because this organization get people to feel bad for them and be like, oh, we have to continue supporting and gathering more money because these kids are such.
Natalie, I know it. It's awful. It reminds me. I don't know if you remember that movie Monsters Inc.
Yes,
Where they used to get energy from the terrifying children and their
yes,
screams. Their
yes.
screams were like generating the power for the city, right? But then at the end of the movie, it was their laughter. that they found to be more powerful and that
Mhm.
generated more success. And I think the same could be said with these
The same thing,
narrations.
yes.
It's the same thing. We also, yes, we've experienced a lot of pain and trauma, but there's also so much joy and beauty and resilience and playfulness and silliness inside
I
of our
didn't
lives.
realize it, how fun that was. I forgot how fun that was.
I've done a lot of work, but I still feel very serious. I feel
Also,
very
even
serious.
my kids, when I start playing with them or kitchen, I start acting like I'm cooking in the toy kitchen and start acting like a whole kid. They're like, "Mama, you good?" Like, I'm good.
I look forward to that phase of my life when I get to be a mom and experience that. And I feel like I've already got to like touch and have glimpses of mothering other people through teaching and through working with youth and
Mhm.
stuff. But this inner child work has also brought a lot of that out of me too. And it's taken a lot of work and it's taken a lot of time and it takes a lot of resources. And it's a privilege for me to even be in a space to be able to have attention towards that. But it is so important. Natalie, thank you so much for talking with me today. I have 3 questions that I need to ask. And I
Okay.
ask all of my lived experts before we close out on the conversation. So the first is, what changes do you hope to see in the child welfare system in your lifetime?
I think transparency.
Mm,
I think that transparency, it's going to let young adult and as well kids understand what situation they are in.
mm,
Right. To the You cannot take the parent away from these kids and just be like, hey, I got a parent for you. Like, it don't work like that. We have to accept that
mhm,
those parents either messed up or they were in a bad situation themselves where they were growing up their own self, what their trauma was like. Because this don't
mm,
come only from what your parent did for you to you, but also it come from what their parents did to you, what the culture did to them,
absolutely.
you know.
Mhm,
And I believe that transparency will make a big difference of accepting who they are and
mm,
what situation they are in and how they're going to advocate for their self instead of just running around and letting life hit them and then for them to wake up and say, oh my God, I could have benefited out of this. And time going by, when you don't be transparency, that time that you could have continued by being transparent, that kid could have grown up to be a better version of their self. You just getting money and allowing this kid to continue failing in life into
mhm,
their 21. And before they turn 21, you were like rushing up, hey, I need your attention now. You're
mhm.
gonna get you this appointment, but they are not ready
Yeah.
for what life got to give them out there. I was not ready. I thought I was. Thank you that I did manage to look what life is and wake up easy. But you cannot expect them to know it all when reality of it, you use their time to let them fail. You didn't use their time wisely and being transparent. Like, hey, this poor decision. Don't control them, but you could be transparent. This is your right. You have to do this because of you, not because of me, not because I'm an agency and gonna control your life, but because of you, because it's gonna benefit you. It's always have to be about if you I think it's this agency realize if they are the hope of our life, then they could be transparent and realize that it's not about organization or about ACS. It's about the child that time from the moment that that child entered foster care into the moment that child signed out is their time that is being valued. And that is where is the key at. Don't If they are going to make a decision that is wrong, explain to them what it's going to cost them. Show up. Always show up because that's all people need. Show up, be there, show me how life is going to navigate me because now I don't have my parent to kick my ass. Sorry, to kick my ass and be like, hey,
It's real.
you
Yeah.
know, you just gotta do this. Like, don't do that. So now it's your job not to keep me safe from my own self and my own trauma.
Yeah, I always say oppression is profitable, and we see that so much in the child welfare system of like lack of transparency, of
Hmm.
wasting youth's time. putting them in a bad situation so that they feed the cycle of child welfare.
Yeah. And then it's the sad story all over again. Like, oh
All
no,
over
this
again with
kid
a
is
new set of
not
babies.
fit. And
Mhm.
this kid is troublemaker. No, it's a troublemaker because from the moment that you got that kid, you did not put in place what the parent would have had done. If a kid don't want to go to school, you don't want to go to school, guess what? You will have to go to school. I'm gonna take you to school. I'm gonna sit down with you there. Because
Mhm.
when a kid realized that, it's not that you are controlling them. It's not that you are acting like they are your parent. It's that it's your job to continue that. You can't be like, what? I can never understand how, hey, you got the rights to say if you don't want to go to, I don't want to go to school. And then and then the word could just come like, it's okay. We understand. Come on, let's be honest. That's the kid time that you're wasting. So you're telling me that you're telling the kid that it's fine. It's okay. You're traumatized. That's why you don't want to go to what?
I Yes, I hear you. And we could talk all day about that, but we don't have time right now. Okay, question number 2 is what advice, and I always call people in child welfare who experience it, my little cousins. So, what advice do you have for our little cousins who are in child welfare right now, or for those who may find themselves in the child welfare system? What advice would you give them to be able to thrive and to be able to live their best lives despite the circumstances?
I say get the juice out of the lemon. And that means that while you're in there, you have a lot of benefit, that it will benefit you. And this is not about who hurt you, but about how you're going to heal and how your future is going to become. Whatever decision you make now, regardless if you think that at the moment it's not going to affect you, it will affect you. Start accepting it. It did happen. And we just from now on have to take um, control of our life and our future destination and what is the outcome? Is it the outcome that you want people to look at you like a victim? They already are looking at you like a victim. Or the action of you want people to look at you. I got the power. I got the juice out of the system. I ended up going back to my family, saying, "Hey, how are you? How you doing? The one that you thought that I was lost and I wasn't good enough for you to take care of. Guess what? I end up getting something out of it and bringing it back to the family and not scrubbing."
It is totally okay. All I heard was "You got the juice now, kid." I don't know if you remember that movie. It was like from the 90s or something. It was either like Tupac or like Omar Epps, and it was like "You got the juice now, kid." So just make the best out of the situation.
Yeah, and I don't mean with that like, oh, now because I got the juice, let me take all the juice out and not leave anything to others. Like that's not what I mean. What I mean is you got the juice to make a better life of yourself and finish education. If you don't want to finish education, force them to take you somewhere where you're gonna learn a course. At least that's the most that they could do to now that they are saying that you have the rights not to go to school. So at least with that they could as well say, hey, we have this course that you could take or this research where you could go. Oh, matter of fact, like some agency, they have work where at 14 you could start doing somewhat during the summer, some work if you want to get some money. Like they have that. There's so many researchers. Don't let it go by. And then at 21, after you get kicked out and you left alone, with an apartment and could gather a job, you now understand that taxation is something that you could have finished education a long time ago, but now you are in decided of do I want to go for education? Now I realize that I do want to go for education. This is your time, and I think it's a precious time, and you're the one in power. That's the only thing I could a take off message is you're the one in power and don't allow anyone to tell you different because you're the one in power.
That's a beautiful thought, and I agree with you. And little cousins, if y'all need help figuring it out, just talk to us because we've been there and we are willing to share and communicate. Last but not least, and I think this might be my favorite question. We talked a lot about joy. We talked a lot about parenting and growing and just having fun and being silly and playing. So I feel like I know what you're going to say for this, but I'll let you share it. So, Natalie, what are you most looking forward to in your life?
I'm looking forward to my kids enjoying their life and their childhood, and my kids not pointing fingers at anyone else. I want my kids not to hold anything that I ever done against me, but more help me to better version myself. Like I told my son all the time, like you're my teacher. And he's like, Mommy, how am I your teacher? And I say, because at a serious time, I wanted it to lose miss school out, and now that you are going through those grades that I already went through that I don't remember, you come home and you teach me. That's why you're supposed to pay attention in school because you're my teacher. And then as well be a better version of myself, but also accepting that I could let go of what is exactly the anger and all this stuff. Plus, on top of that, the reason why I said earlier forgiveness is because it's a chain attached to the person that do you harm. And that is that the more angry you are, the more that you're feeding that person. That you're right, because now you're proving to them like, oh yeah, she was this troublemaker, she was this, and she was that, she was the other. And then when you take the power back and you say, hey, I forgive you, I don't even understand sometimes what that means, but I truly forgive you. And then you start realizing that that person was more in pain than you were, because that person failed on you and their conscience wasn't fully right because what they had done. I think that's like where you realize like, and I thought I was the damaged one. Hold up, what? And I also want to hope my people, I say my people, my children, me in care still. I want to hope them find. I want to say that they found someone that didn't benefit out of them, but more gave them back power. And I think that is something that I'm passionate about, advocating for them and bringing back their power. Like, I feel like if I could just grab all the power and be like, hey, here you go, you here, I think I would do that, because it's crazy how a human being could feel powerless on their childhood being taken away and then their adult life and figuring it out by themselves. At least I want them to know that they are not alone. Like you said, we are here for them. And that a sad story, always think about the sad story, but as well think about a fun story. Think about what story do you have? What was funny? Because one thing that I could say is I do remember when my mom would say, hey, I'm going to fly. You got me the character that I'm going to take, the rocket ship.
Yeah, yeah,
She's like, she's gonna tie herself up in the rocket ship and start flying away from me. How much I was a, a kid that used to run around and do too
yeah,
much. So when I remember that, I'm like, wait, hold up. I have like, yeah, I have a serious situation with the lady, but I also have jokes with the lady. Like I've been
yes,
saying those jokes to other
yeah.
people and they be
Hmm.
quacking up. They be like, girl, like you don't even know the life that I had. Look, let me tell you one thing my mom said to me one time. This system had created us to think this way, to think that it's only sad story within our story and our trauma. No, you do have memories, just bring them back about, yeah, the person had done something wrong. Whoever have done something wrong, you shouldn't have done it. But as well, you don't have to take away, to hold them accountable, you don't have to take away also the funny stories. My son, he be like, Mommy, tell me a little bit more. I say, you don't want to know. He's like, how was it at school when you was a kid? I'm like, listen, one time. And then I started saying that. It's a funny moment, but now I know that if my kid end up meeting their grandma, they're not going to end up feeling awkward because I also manage to talk about funny stories. And we all have that funny story. We just got to find them, right?
Find the funny, cherish the good, and learn from the bad. I think that is a beautiful, beautiful note. Natalie, your soul is shining brightly. I'm really grateful to have encountered you. I'm really grateful for all the conversations that we have, and I'm excited to hear all the things that you're going to tell. Okay. Thank you so, so much for being here on Interviews today. And
Thank you.
everyone who tuned in, thank y'all so, so much. We hope to see you again. The Interviews podcast is a production of the Safe Camp Audio Network, which is a division of Youth Voices Rising via Fostering Media Connections. Please visit safecampaudio.org on the web or Safe Camp Audio on all major social media. This podcast was produced and mixed by Christine Onjoko. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you consider sharing, subscribing, and or giving us a 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcast.